We're live.
Hey everyone, you've joined me and Danielle for the midweek check-in for the Democracy-ish, where it is what it is, folks. I ran to get some
It
water.
is what it is.
I ran to get some water. I came back. Danielle's like, I got 35 minutes. I'm like, give it 35 minutes. I'll take it. We got a lot to talk about, Danielle. And, the framing of this is how women are fighting back against Trump and fascism. And the framing of this, I think, is powerful because I want to start with the story. We're going to talk about the Epstein survivors who came out today. But beforehand, for those who saw, oh, yeah, the Substack I did an hour and a half ago, which I'll have up later with Tara Kabash and Haris Tareen talking about Laura Loomer, the Islamophobe and the bigot, weaponizing her hate to make this country less safe and going against Muslims and Arabs and anyone who speaks about Palestinians. Speaking about women who have been silenced, Palestinian women killed, silenced, erased. Why? Israel wants them gone. This Israeli regime doesn't want the Palestinian story out there. But there was a girl, a 5-year-old Palestinian girl named Hind Rajab, who was brutally killed in the early stages of the war by Israel. And just another casualty, just another statistic. Who will care about this girl? But this young girl, Hind Rajab, has become a rallying cry. So many people around the world started educating themselves about the occupation, about the apartheid, about Israel's genocide, thanks to Hind Rajab, right? When the pro-Palestinian students in Colombia, right, Hind Hall, they called it Hind Hall when they occupied the hall. Well, for those who are joining us and didn't see me earlier, there's the Venice Film Festival. You all know I love pop culture. And Andrew Breitbart, who was the mentor of Steve Bannon, he famously said, politics is downstream from culture. And Danielle and I have often talked about how MAGA understands this and Democrats don't. This is why Theo Vaughn and Joe Rogan were thanked by Donald Trump for helping him win the election. The brosphere, right? The comedians, UFC. Well, speaking about culture and how Israel is losing the youth in the culture, folks, at the Venice Film Festival, and I just want to start with some good news today. There's this movie that was made called The Voice of Hind Rajab. It's apparently a devastating fictional movie about her family learning about her death. At the last second, last week, a lot of Hollywood A-listers came on as executive producers just to give it a boost. That includes Danielle, Joaquin Phoenix, and Brad Pitt. In Venice, everyone laughs and says that Venice and Cannes, every movie, even the shitty movies, gets like a standing ovation. So just to be polite, if it's a normal movie, you get 5 minutes. If they like you, 7 to 8 minutes. If they really like you, like Frankenstein, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, got 12 to 13-minute ovation. How long was the standing ovation given today for The Voice of Hind Rajab? Danielle, do you know?
20 some odd minutes.
22 minutes, the longest of the festival. As the ovation surpassed 20 minutes in a clear effort to get the room to disperse, the lights were dimmed. The clapping continued, Danielle. People were crying, not a dry in the house, and loud, audible chants of free Palestine. Danielle.
Yeah, it's so awful that it requires the death of, children, the mutilation of children to get the world to pay attention to what's been happening in Israel and Palestine. And I think that, you know, it does take eyeballs and it does take a lot of attention. And I think that for as silent and as complicit as Hollywood has been for a long time, blackballing and blacklisting people that have spoken out before, but before we hit the 2.5, 3-year mark, for them to applaud in this way and to stand up in this way and to chant in that way, I mean, it is a huge turning point. I think that the world in many ways has turned away from Israel, which I don't think that any of us ever saw coming in our lifetimes. But I think that when you hand the keys to your country to a homicidal, genocidal maniac, which America has now done as well, you're going to see what happens to your country on the world stage. Had Netanyahu and his homicidal, genocidal Knesset members not overreached, not overplayed their hand, then I don't think that what is happening you would see. But, there's a flotillas headed to Gaza right now from Italy. The Italian port workers are threatening to shut the country down, to shut Europe down and its ports down if the flotillas are intervened by Israel, which they have been, and anyone on their flotillas harmed. So it's major. It's time for a shift.
Yep.
Israel hasn't been the democracy in the Middle East, has not been ever. And more so now, people need to understand what led to October 7th wasn't October 6th. Let's just say
And
that.
and also the powerful voice of an eyewitness, the voice of testimony, the voice of people who raise up those voices of victims, a voice of a 5-year-old girl. I want to mention what also happened because I'm reading from the Variety article. Attendee, I can't believe this is happening at Venice Film Festival, folks. I'm an old man. Like we've been through, like Danielle and I, we, the fact that this is happening, attendees in the crowd were holding up several Palestinian flags, and chants of Free Palestine rang out during the applause. Joaquin Phoenix and Rooney Mara, actors, both husband and wife, are executive producer of the film, were in attendance and held a photo of Hind on the red carpet with the filmmaking team. Phoenix also wore an Artists for Ceasefire pin. At one point during the ovation, actor Motaz Malhiz ran down to the audience to take a Palestinian flag, which he then waved to further cheers. What? Okay. Last year, the documentary that won just a couple of months ago at the Academy Awards was No Other Land, a documentary about Israeli settlers terrorizing the West Bank.
And
That
since then,
documentary,
though,
continue,
yeah,
please.
I was just going to say, since then, though, there have been two of the people that worked on that film that have been murdered by Israeli settlers.
And that movie could not get distribution, even though the Academy, the workers, the people, who are a little bit beneath those truly in power, or the ones who are studio heads, they voted it as best documentary. The year before, a fantastic movie by British Jewish filmmaker Jonathan Glazer, Zone of Interest, won best foreign picture. Really good movie, and he used his 2 minutes for a really searing speech. So you see the culture changing, right? But No Other Land, folks, did not get distribution despite winning Best Documentary. Pro-Palestinian speakers were literally kidnapped and detained. Rumeza Ozturk wrote an op-ed, Turkish grad student. She was kidnapped by masked armed agents. Mahmoud Khalil, kidnapped and detained for over 100 days. Badr Khan Suri, right here near Georgetown, Indian national, married to a Palestinian. He was detained, and on and on and on. All these pro-Palestinian groups. I remember Danielle, because I keep the receipts, and I love pop culture. The actress Melissa Barrera, the face of the lucrative Scream franchise, was one of the first people to call it a genocide, and she reposted an article by an
She
Israeli
lost her
scholar who called
job.
it a genocide. Melissa Barrera, good looking, young, smart, the face of the lucrative Scream franchise. They fired her. So to see this shift in 2 years, and Hind Rajab, folks, for people who don't know, real quick, I'm glad Variety has this. I think the details are important as we talk about the power of voice and testimony, especially as that happened to what happened today in the Capitol. While fleeing with her family from Gaza City in January, the car Rajab was traveling in was shelled, killing her uncle, aunt, and 3 cousins. She was left stranded for hours, 5-year-old girl in the vehicle while on the phone to the Palestinian Red Cross Society as paramedics attempted to rescue her. When she was eventually reached, both Hind Rajab and the paramedics were found dead, with media investigations concluding that an Israeli tank had likely fired 335 rounds into the car. The phone recording of Hind's voice is used in the film.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I mean, like, you look, they're monsters. That is that, like, I have no problem saying that. Um, they're monsters. Like, all of this, like, oh, accidental bullshit, like, no hospitals left, no universities. kidnapping, murdering, and imprisoning doctors and nurses and health administrative workers, starving 2 million people to death, and telling us that, oh, it's Hamas. Like, the Israeli government is filled with monsters that should face trial and the wrath of hell. Those are my thoughts.
I agree. These are genocidal monsters. Smotrich, people like Ben Gvir, people like Netanyahu. Look at their actions, look at their words, trust the evidence of your eyes and your ears, and see what's happening. 63,000 people killed, undercount, phase 5 starvation, and now just an ethnic transfer of people, right? That's called an ethnic cleansing. It's happening with U.S. money and U.S. support, and without our tax dollars, and without our military support, and without our weapons, and without our diplomatic support, guys, guess what? Israel cannot do it. Israel cannot engage in this genocide or occupy or do the apartheid policies in the West Bank, which is why I believe Americans in particular should be the ones speaking out, because we can influence our government to stop. And for the first time in our life, a majority of Democratic senators, 26 plus Bernie 27, said enough. If Israel doesn't stop, they don't call it a genocide. I think it's important to call it a genocide. But if Israel doesn't stop its war crimes, we should immediately stop sending weapons. But the power of testimony, that movie used Hind Rajab's final phone call. And it shows you the power of telling your own story and what happens when your story is erased. Well, when your story is erased, genocides could happen. When your story is erased, Danielle, you could be a billionaire pedophile and continue raping hundreds of girls. Your thoughts about seeing those women and hearing those women today in Washington, D.C., when Massey and Ro Khanna finally someone did this, brought out the survivors of Epstein and Maxwell.
This is probably one of the biggest political cover-ups we've ever seen. Like, this is huge. What this administration is doing in order to cover this up, the threatening that they are doing to Republicans and saying that anybody that signs the petition that Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey have put together will be seen as a quote-unquote hostile act. This is what the administration has said to Republicans in the House. It'll be considered a hostile act. If you're innocent, you don't move in this way. If
That's right.
these files didn't exist and could exonerate Donald Trump, you wouldn't be moving in this way. Donald Trump is guilty. There are members of the Republicans and the Democrats that are guilty, and I don't give a shit about partisanship. I want them all indicted. I want them all investigated. Whoever can be named should be fucking named. And the
Yep.
fact, that now, once again, the burden is on the victims, right? The burden is on the victims as opposed to the system to do its job. The burden is on the victims for them saying, you know what? We know who the powerful men are. You don't need to have the list come out from the FBI. We can just give you the list. Because some of them we've been forced to be with. So I'm just, I find it all of this is a reflection and an indictment on how women are treated in this country and women are treated around the world. I said this yesterday on the Danielle Moodie Show. You would not see this level of cover up, depravity, just if the victims weren't women, right? Like, we don't care about women.
We don't.
We don't care about women and girls. We don't protect them. I said this yesterday. I said, we spend so much money and so much time and all of these things and shaming women and telling women to protect themselves and do all of these things and do no fucking work on men and boys. None. Right? And particularly, I say the white women that raise these fucking monsters, they're not pathologized, right? Like, if it's Black women, right? You'll talk about, oh, Black women and the single mother and the this, that, and the other thing, and the pathology that has been associated. But when it comes to who raises violent, toxic, abusive white men, it's fucking white women. But we don't want to have that conversation. We don't want to talk about that, right? That you raise these fucking abusive monsters and we wonder where the fuck it started. We want to blame everything other than who is parenting these fucking monsters. So, like, those are my thoughts today.
No, but it's
Like,
an important point,
go
right?
to the goddamn source, because I'm so tired of everything else being the problem. Oh, it's not the guns. Oh, it's mental illness. Oh, it's not mental illness. It's this. It's that. It's blah blah blah. They weren't
It's the
loving us. They weren't
Haitians.
up.
It's
It's
the
the Haitians.
Muslims. It's the
It's this,
trans
that, and the
kids.
other thing. It's white households. What the fuck is going on in your homes to be raising people that are so fucking depraved? Like, that's the question, and I'm asking it. I'm gonna ask the question. What the fuck is going on? Like that this is normal, that even you protect them when they're boys, you fucking protect them when they're men, and then you turn around, you vote for them, and you fucking marry them. And then want to sit around, oh, woe is me, narking on everybody else except yourselves.
It is white supremacy. And it is greed, and it is patriarchy and misogyny. And I've gotten in trouble, Danielle, because I wrote an article in the Daily Beast, I think it was 2 years ago, where I called out the white women for Trump. And we laid out the history of how white women, majority of white women, ever since the civil rights movement, have gone for Republican presidents, except twice. Lyndon B. Johnson and once for Bill Clinton. And so far, folks, the triple Trumpers are a majority of white women. I know it's not all white men. For the 45% of you who didn't vote for him, thank you. Allies, respect, thank you. It's not all white folks. But we're talking about white women who are complicit with the world's worst white men who continue abusing the rest of us. Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell, a white woman. The white women who voted for Donald Trump, despite him literally being accused of sexual assault, despite him saying, I grab women by the pee.
In
His own words.
words.
Despite the last, 30-year track record of him being a lecherous creep, despite the fact that Michael Wolff has Jeffrey Epstein on tape saying I was Donald Trump's closest friend, despite the fact that we've known he partied with Epstein, we have the video, we have the audio, despite the fact that we know they both chase models together, despite the fact that we know he was held liable for sexual assault of E. Jean Carroll and defaming her, white men and white women in this country said, you know what? That's our guy. That's our guy. Number one, mass shooters. I'm sorry to say this, majority. Again and again and again, white, straight, male. Not the only ones. They are the majority. Serial killers, white, straight, male. Not all of them, majority. Number one,
Rapists,
domestic terror threat.
White, straight men.
Number one, domestic terror threat in America.
And somebody just said like, oh, it's all races. No, it's not. All races are not running the country. Let us be fucking clear who I'm talking about. When people want to say, oh, it's all races that do. No, it is not. It is one race that dominates Fortune 500 companies. It is one race that dominates who is running this fucking country, who is running industry. One fucking race. It is a majority of white, cis, hetero fucking men. Right? And it is them that do not have empathy, that are sociopathic, that are abusive towards women and girls, that are abusive towards the country, that abuse the fucking environment. That is who the fuck I am talking about. So I'm so sick to death that you even have to go through the fucking, oh, it's not all these people. It is. That's who the fuck we're talking about. Like, and if you're not that, then I'm not talking to you.
Yeah, if you're not that, don't be offended. We ain't talking about you. And you're like, but why? What? No, we're not talking about you. We're talking about the people who are the triple Trumpers, or the people who are perfectly fine supporting the Elon Musk, despite him saying, oh, empathy is a weakness. And, him doing the double Zeke Hiles, perfectly fine with Donald Trump, despite him, quoting Nazis and openly talking about grabbing women by the pee and just locker room talk. We're talking about the people who are perfectly fine with Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, who when he was in Princeton wrote the essay saying, hey, if you have sex with a woman who's passed out drunk, that doesn't count as rape. And lo and behold, years later, he paid a woman $50,000 to sign an NDA who alleged, and we know the police report, that he did what? Sexually assaulted her, right? So these are the RFK, a man whose own cousin calls him a sexual predator, a man whose wife read the lurid details of all the affairs that he wrote in his notebook and then later killed herself. in part was traumatized by all of this, right? So these are the people, folks. And look at the white women, the Nancy Maces, a survivor herself who's perfectly fine. When she was asked about it, she got P5 faux fum. How dare you ask me? I'm a woman. Because you're supporting a man accused of sexual assault and you're fine with him. Katie Britt with her little cross there. She's fine with it. Who's the other one? The broken Caroline Levitt, yeah, friggin' bimbo, blonde bimbo Barbie, a White House press conference with the cross right there. They're all fine with it. Christy Nome, they're all fine with it. The number one domestic terror threat in America for years running, the GOAT, Danielle. It's not left wing terrorism. It's not Muslim terrorism, both of them which exist. Can you tell the people who it is in America consistently?
Nationalists, white
Right
nationalists,
wing terror.
right wing. And you know what's fun? And speaking again of white women and the white men that they raise to be abusers, and abuse the rest of the world. You know whose son was arrested? Wasn't it Lauren Boebert? Right, who's like the youngest fucking grandmother that heard that she's sitting around in Congress talking about LGBTQ people, talking about black people and this, that, and the other thing. And her own fucking son was arrested for like domestic violence. And she wants to say like, oh, it was just, it was a dispute. The fuck out of here.
And also her husband was arrested, remember, for exposing himself to minors at a bowling alley. Remember that? Her
Twice.
ex-husband. Her ex-husband.
Twice.
And the good news is here, and going back to what Danielle said, the Epstein survivors, the women, who no one believed, and even white women, folks. That's why I tell people, like, these were white women. And then America was like, we're going to defer to the powerful and the wealthy. The Epstein survivors announced they will release their own list of names. Quote, "We know who abused us. We saw who came and went. This list will be survivor-led for survivors." Why are they doing it? Because the Republicans in the Rules Committee, who had the votes to release the list, all said no. Mike Johnson, super Christian, when it came to having a bipartisan vote on releasing the Epstein files, folks, what did he do last month? Remember that?
He
Recess.
ran out of town.
Recess.
Packed up his fucking luggage and stopped working early and ran out of town so that
And
he
did you
could stop the vote.
and did you see Donald Trump threaten them today? He threatened them.
That's what I said. He told them that he would consider if any of them decide to go along with the petition, decide to vote to release it, he's going to consider it a hostile act.
There you go. Hostile act. And then also, Daniel, what's your take on Donald Trump seeing all of this, seeing these victims, and again, hit dogs holler. If you are not, I don't know, a rapist, a friend of a rapist, a fan or supporter of people who rape girls or sexually abuse them, you shouldn't feel offended. You shouldn't feel attacked. You should sit there and Danielle say, wow, especially if you're a politician. I'm not a politician, but common sense would say if you have this powerful testimony in public with bipartisan support of all these survivors, you would say, I feel really bad for these victims. They've gone through a lot and, they demand justice. And Jeffrey Epstein was a terrible guy. And I'm so glad that he's dead. I wish he would be alive to get justice. But, we're tough on crime and we're going to make sure it doesn't happen. Okay, next question. He said instead, Donald Trump, do you agree? What's your thoughts on this? And he said the Epstein files are a hoax.
Mm-hmm.
Danielle.
So then the victims that were on Capitol Hill today, they're what? Figments of my imagination? I'm just too
Are they
stressed
lying?
out. I hallucinated that they existed. The woman Virginia that took her own life,
Virginia Giuffre.
right? Virginia Giuffre. She was a hallucination. I don't think so. Like the hoax is that anyone ever thought that Donald Trump was innocent. That's the fucking hoax. Right? I believe that Donald Trump was like probably one of Epstein's best fucking customers. Right? So he met his fucking wife there, who then
Closest friend.
who became a citizen illegally along with her fucking family. Like, folks, look, I pray to God that this is Donald Trump's downfall. I pray to God that it is his own fucking people. I pray to God that his heart collapses under the weight of the truth and the spotlight coming for him with regard to the Epstein files. Because if Donald Trump were innocent, right, then you know that he would be selling these files at premium on Truth Social to name and air out every single Democrat that was associated with it. But
Absolutely.
because he can't pull that trigger without it being Russian roulette on his head, he's going to tell us now that it is a hoax. So I'm like, you know what? Your people ain't falling for it. And I just, and I hope that the pressure continues. I hope the pressure continues to mount. He's going to invade Chicago, Baltimore, Philadelphia, and New York, bomb as many ships as he can in Venezuela. All of this, folks, all of this, so that he can distract from the Epstein files, start some type of war, whether it be a civil war or an external war, so that we don't have midterms. Like, I mean, everything is just so calculated right now. Every fucking thing that
It's
he is doing.
we didn't talk yesterday. Was it yesterday? At time is a flight circle. I was a masochist, Danielle, and I saw the press conference, and all of it because I do that
Because
for
you
the rest
can't
of
help yourself.
because I can't help myself. If you parcel through all the bullshit, just take away all the bullshit. It's all bullshit. I'm not going to respond to every lie, and that's distraction. For me, the strategy is it's distraction, and the distraction is part and parcel of the end game. What's the end game? Just step back real quick. We've mentioned it for a long time. The end game is authoritarian rule by any means necessary, whether it's martial law or rigging the elections. We said on this show, when he talked about electoral reform a couple of months ago, Danielle and I said that will be going after mail-in voting, voter suppression, and gerrymandering. What's happening in Texas? Now what's happening all across in red states? Gerrymandering. What did he do yesterday, folks? Why did he move the Space Command to Rocket City in Huntsville, Alabama? He said it twice because he can't help himself because he just projects. Colorado, they do mail-in voting. That's corrupt, illegal mail-in voting, even though he did it, right? So he's going after mail-in voting, gerrymandering, unleashing the National Guard in blue cities. What did he say? The racism, folks. It always goes back to the racism, white supremacy and power, right? He talked about, he was talking about black people and brown people in Chicago and Baltimore. What did he say? Some people, they're just born criminals. They're born criminals.
Yeah,
He was
some people really fucking are born criminals.
But he was, I think, I don't know, kind of a big deal that the president of the United States is calling fellow Americans born criminals and talking about, I don't know, eugenics, race shit, and saying that black people are born criminals. Oh, and the irony of the person who's saying that is an actual criminal. And all of it would double down on the lies about the economy, all bullshit. It's a distraction. And so it's to distract from Epstein, distract from his cankles, distract from that blotch on his right hand, distract from the horrible numbers in the economy, distract from the fact that Latinos have left him, distract from the fact that young voters have left him, and to further, Danielle, the authoritarian white supremacist project.
Yes. I mean, this is the goal. Like, it's not as if they didn't write it down in a fucking 900-page, binded book called Project 2025 that is now 50% operationalized in 8 months. It's not as if they didn't write down the fucking plans and then go state by state and tell us what those fucking plans were. Oh, that's right. They did. They did. But here are Democrats still laying around with the limp dick in their hand trying to figure out I don't know. How should we move? What should we do? Like, I wish somebody would give us some direction. Let me tell you something. I was visiting my family earlier today, my extended family from Jamaica. And they say to me, Danielle, all empires crumble.
Yep.
Like, this is what happens. This is my
Ah,
religious, thoughtful family saying, you know what? And this is the chickens coming home to roost for America. You know how bad America has been around the world? You know the kind of dirt America has done? This is them and their
I
and
like
their
how the
actions.
Jamaicans coming out. I like it. I
Yeah.
hear it.
And I said, yes, I do know. And they're like, so look, you need to grow your own fruit and your own vegetables. You need to protect yourself as much as possible because these people, they want to see the grave. They want to go to death for their whiteness. So you just have to move out of their way. And I said, you know what? You're right. This is, like, I know that our job is to connect the dots, Waj, and to make people feel better, but here's my feeling better. This shit is crumbling. I am not trying to be caught underneath the rubble. I am trying to warn as many people so that you all are not shocked. But the reality is, America is a wrap. It is what we do next that matters. But this is needed to come down. These systems that were created to keep women oppressed, to keep Black people oppressed, to keep people marginalized, to keep everything just good enough, just to have enough crumbs, just to have enough of the status quo, but not real fucking progress, right? The same people, accepting money from APAC, but then wanting to tell you rah, rah, rah about democracy. Like, folks, it's all a fucking sham. It's all a fucking sham. And the quicker we realize that, the quicker we can get rid of these representatives, this Congress, this fucking government, and start over. Start
Yeah.
the fuck over.
There's no restoration. We need reformation. And Joe Biden and the Democrats wanted restoration. We kept saying, nope, reformation. And it remains to be seen if the Democratic Party will evolve and adapt and meet the moment. My fear is that some of them, the leadership, would rather burn the party down and burn the country that down than give up sucking at the teat of power and corporate money. You see this happening with them trying their best, even now, to go against Zoran Mamdani and any anti-establishment Democrat, Graham Planter, who is trying to take on Susan Collins. She's very concerned because, man, he's running on an anti-establishment, anti-genocide, economic populist message and drawing crowds. And when I interviewed Navy Guard member Captain Blaha, who's running for the Illinois, I think, 13th district, he said, also, Danielle, anti-establishment, white guy, anti-genocide. He's saying the establishment is deeply threatened. AOC even mentioned it. AOC just came out today and introduced legislation to ban stock trading. Let's see
Which
how
they were openly doing on the fucking floor.
that's going to go over like a mustard fart after eating 6 chili dogs. Good luck, AOC. You're going to see it in real time. And speaking of how, we kept mentioning, I've kept saying pro-death party, pro-death party, pro-death party. I've been saying even when I was on CNN, it's a pro-death movement. The right-wing GOP is an authoritarian minority pro-death movement. Folks, going off of what Danielle just said, Florida is moving to end vaccine mandates for school children. The state would be the first to scrap requirements that children be vaccinated to attend school. Oh, the policy we've had in place for decades. Oh, the MMR policy, measles, mumps, rubella. Oh, how we got rid of smallpox. Oh, how we got rid of polio. Oh, how we got rid of measles. Psych! Measles is skyrocketing. It has come back due to vaccine hesitancy and right-wing disinformation. And so now kids have died due to measles. And as measles has reached its epidemic levels unseen in like 40 years, Florida has moved to end vaccine mandates for school children. Danielle, going off the analogy you just did, you ever see Bugs Bunny cartoons? I used to love those Looney Tune cartoons. And I really feel this analogy. People said, "Oh, Bugs Bunny always used to bother Yosemite Sam and Elmer Fudd." No, watch those cartoons. Bugs Bunny, like so many people of color, was chilling, watching TV in his bunny hole, eating the carrot. It was always Yosemite Sam and Elmer Fudd that tried to mess up his day. So then Bugs Bunny was running, and they would set traps, and then Bugs Bunny would use their traps against them. And oftentimes, the traps that they would set for Bugs Bunny, because he was a step sharper and smarter, he would recognize the trap, step back, and let them fall into the ditch. Maybe, Danielle, what can you do? You can't save people who can't save themselves, right? Like, I'm at that point.
I'm not
Even in my family. I'm 44 years old. You can't. I've tried. There's some family members, friends I have. Some people are just committed to self-destruction. And I had a conversation with Kavita Patel. I really hope people listen to it. It came on Monday. Doctor, you know what she said? When we talked about all this anti-vax stuff, dismantling our public healthcare system, she said, a doctor, she said, for the first time ever, I'm telling people not to come to America. I've never said that publicly before. She's saying that might be a rap. And she said, take care of yourself and your family first. You're in a plane. What do you do with the mask? Put the mask on who? yourself first and your loved
This
ones.
is what I'm saying to people. Look, people keep saying in the chat, what do we do? What do we do? You need to take care of yourself. You need to take care of yourself, your family, and your community. For those that still can get vaccinated, right? My family is now on the fence about whether or not they're getting the next round of COVID shots because they don't trust this government. If it was under Biden, they'd get the next round of COVID shots. Now they're like, oh, I don't think that we're going to get the next round of COVID shots. Go elsewhere if you can to go get your fucking vaccinations because,
ASAP.
like, this country is like, get your vaccinations. Go get all of your panels done because by the end of the year, you're not going to be able to get these things. And you think that we are lying. We are not.
Gardasil, like all this stuff. It's not just COVID, folks, especially women, that like literally helps save women from cancer. The Gardasil vaccine, right? Cervical cancer. If you're not up to date, you and your kids, really, local
Really,
communities,
truly, go
go get
get your
vaccinated.
vaccines now. Get your kids vaccinated now because, again, it is going to be those that are wealthy that are going to be able to travel to go get their have their vaccine holidays the way that people leave the country to go get like dental work done now and to go get, cosmetic surgery done. Now it's going to be holidays where you are picked up in Mexico, taken to a place, getting all your shots, and then you can go to your holiday. Because I'm telling folks what is going to happen. Countries will begin to shut their borders to America because they do not want our diseased population.
Yep.
They don't.
Yep. And folks, it's already happening. Mexico offered a travel advisory a couple months ago to Texas because of the measles outbreak, which then spread to New Mexico. What do you think is going to happen, especially as the world is turning away from U.S., which they once saw as an ally? Danielle had to go hard out at 4. I have Mary Trump on at 4:30. I got Asha Rangappa, I think, at 5. I don't know why. I should rest, but it is what it is. And I also love hearing Danielle's inner Jamaican come out. She can't even help it. It comes out. Each time she talks about her family, you hear that little Jamaican? That was amazing. Danielle, shamelessly promote yourself before you leave.
Folks, hopefully, if you have not already, subscribe to the Damn Digest here on Substack. All of my content is free, but if you have a few bucks and you have the ability to support, please consider becoming a paid subscriber on Substack. I will never put my content behind a paywall, but in order to, live, pay bills, tell the truth, create the content that you all deserve, your subscriptions, paid subscriptions, do go a long way. And also, I am 98 subscribers away from 30,000 on YouTube. Again, my YouTube is free. And that is where I host the Danielle Moodie Show and where Waj and I do Democracy-ish on Mondays and Fridays at 12 p.m. Eastern. I do the Danielle Moodie Show live at 5 p.m. Eastern. So there are 1.1 thousand people watching. If you are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, just go. Hit the bell, hit subscribe, get me to 30,000. And yeah, see you at 5 p.m.
5 p.m. today, go to Danielle Moody's fantastic YouTube channel, subscribe, it's all free, and then come back Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time to Danielle's YouTube channel, where we will host a live episode of Democracy-ish. This has been The Left Hook. Again, no paywalls, everything is free because I'm dumb. But I just want people to be informed. So at the very least, become a free subscriber, and I will be back at 4:30 with Mary to talk about the press conference and news of the day and her cankled uncle. And then we're going to talk about national insecurity with Asha Rangappa at 5:15, because there's so many news items about how this country literally has become less safe in the past week. And as it becomes less safe, we're going to use our law enforcement to terrorize not, white supremacists, Nazis, and extremists. No, no, no. Black and brown people, and also white folks. You are also included because fascists come for everyone. Come back in 25 minutes, and at 5 o'clock, join Danielle. Be kind, be decent, be informed, and please, oh please, don't be a fascist. Thank you, Danielle.
Bye, Waj.